Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. This guy right here is Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From Boom Studios, this is Behemoth, issue number 2. It's written by Tate Brombal, art by Nick Robles, and colors by Nick Robles, and the letters by AndWorld Design. Before we get started on the review, please like, comment, subscribe, turn that bell on. You never know when I'm dropping new stuff. It does help this channel a whole lot. So, without further ado, here we go. Catch you up. We are walking on this journey with Ren and Gray. Gray is the dude, and Ren is the little girl. In the first issue, it was like we were following Gray, and it's kind of a post-apocalyptic world. The end of the world has come, and it kind of looks like these behemoths are the reason for it, or kind of what the story is leading us to believe. The first issue was a little bit confusing because it kept flipping back and forth from after the fall, before the fall, but the after the fall parts kind of look like a dream. Now getting into this and seeing some of the second issue, it looks like it wasn't a dream, but it was more like nighttime versus daytime type of thing. But at the end of the first issue, we did find out that Ren was a behemoth. Maybe not the necessarily behemoth that destroyed the world, but she is a behemoth, and that was kind of like the surprise of the story kind of thing. But we are still with Ren and Gray, and they're on the journey. It does say after the fall, so this is like present, I guess. And they are on a mission. They're going someplace. There's talk of like heading to this outpost to pick up supplies and stuff, and they come across this little rat mouse. And Ren starts getting curious because she is a child, and she starts asking, well, how does it know about wintertime? How does it know how to survive? Before Gray can really answer all these questions, the mouse ends up taking off, and she ends up taking off after it. And just like nature, a hawk / eagle something swoops down and grabs a little mouse and takes off with it. Before Gray can even react from what's happening, Ren just screams out no, and the next thing we see is her right arm turns into that behemoth looking thing and then squashes the bird. We see over here, as soon as that happens, Gray starts to show those like squiggly lines or whatever, and they do explain them a little bit coming soon. But basically, she's going full behemoth, and he's basically trying to stop her. Kind of trying to calm her down, and they do show the staff lighting up, but eventually she does go like full behemoth. I want to assume a little time later she does transition back into her little girl self, and she's just holding the dead bird and saying like, not you too, not you too. And we get to a dope ass spread, which is the title page saying chapter 2, and we do see Ren and Gray down here on their journey. Basically, they show little clips of like their journey, and they do show like a nighttime scene where Gray is fighting off these shadow-like creatures, which they showed in the first scene. This is kind of what led me believe that, because in the first issue it was kind of like dream versus reality. In this one, they do show these shadow-like people a little more often, because they show eventually that they camp her down. They go to sleep. Gray eventually has this like dream, and it causes, or he's talking in a sleep kind of thing when he's talking about the birds answer the call. As they are sleeping, they do show those like shadow-like people all around them, on top of them. And that's kind of when I finally figured out that those things weren't in the dream. It was just nighttime. This being the end of the world. But eventually they do show that on their journey they do make it to this outpost. It is expressed that the world is looking for Ren because she's a behemoth, and they know what she looks like kind of thing. And she does have these like red eyes, like besides the fact that she looks like a child. But even before they can get Ren in hiding, they are spotted by like this military convoy looking truck that passes by, and somebody in the truck manages to like see both, and they kind of show the soldier that sees both Ren and Gray. We are in a town called Fort Oregon. It's an outpost that's military controlled, and it was stated before that they are looking for supplies, but at this point it's also stating that this is like a piece of the last part of the mission, that they need to stop at this specific location And they keep mentioning for Ren, not to mess it up, not to be a child. That's what Gray's expressing to Ren. Eventually, they get to the location, and Gray has to leave Ren outside, expressing to please hide, please don't play, please stay hidden, kind of thing. The world's looking for you. Um, Gray eventually goes inside, and he's met by a shop owner, and we find out it's an old bookstore that's now transitioned into something else. I want to say it's a pharmacy slash like pawn shop kind of thing. But Gray goes inside and he's looking for a specific, like something at first, and he says it's a book with no name. I guess this is some kind of code lingo because she pulls out all the drugs, and she starts like cycling through different drugs that she does have, and he's looking for a specific one called sertralane, and he's looking for a max dose. As soon as he asks for that all of a sudden those brain wave curvy lines start showing, and it looks like he's having some kind of like aneurysm or something like that. And they do show that I don't know if it was like, because they do show this ding dong, and that was what the store, like when he opened the door, that's what the door made, or if that's going off in his mind. Rin does not stay still, and she ends up like leaving the alley, and she kind of explores a little more, and she comes across this location here, and it's a bunch of people praying to a behemoth. She kind of gets real confused. They go back to Gray, and he's kind of either having a stroke or an aneurysm or something like that. The shop owner kind of like makes a comment that she's never seen anybody like freak out like this before. But eventually she's met by that soldier like person that saw them as they were entering the city, and kind of like right as that happens, like everything kind of unfolds. Like the shop owner pulls a gun saying that he knows what Gray is and who he is, and he's about to kill him. And then as soon as that happens, we see that it looks like Ren is about to transition into a behemoth. But before that happens, all of a sudden there is another massive behemoth that just comes in, and you see people flying. And but I guess that's what the people were praying to. They were praying to like this other behemoth, trying to get him to show up, and sure enough it does. And it's just like massive chaos, and this behemoth's eating people. And basically Gray takes off running looking for Ren. He does end up finding Ren, and as soon as he finds her, she kind of turns and looks, and all of a sudden she's going to behemoth mode with whatever this is, because this is new. Before, her eyes lit up like that, but they never showed these up and down arrows. The book kind of jumps back, and it's before the fall, and it's that very last scene that we got from the first book, and it's basically Gray running into Ren, finding out she's a behemoth, and it's also part of that like continuation, because right after that someone runs into the door. That's where the I guess the ding dong comes from, and it looks like a female officer that's looking for the behemoth, and all she finds is Gray and Ren kind of thing, and that's where the book leaves us off. There is no preview to the next issue, no cover hint, no nothing. That's all they gave us. But that is my review for Behold Behemoth. I want to say it's a little confusing still at this point, but not to the point where it's a bad read or anything like that. I still love the read. The art is fantastic. The only thing I can say about this issue is it didn't really paint any kind of cliffhangers or anything to get me to go to the next issue. We didn't even get to see what Gray really needed in the pharmacy, if he was just looking for a drug or something else, because at first he was talking about a book with no name. They're also looking for someplace, a location that has no name kind of thing. But I don't know if that was all code word for the drugs that he's looking for to maybe stop the aneurysms kind of thing. But hey, that's my review. I got more reviews coming. Be on the lookout for that. And that's the end of this. I'll let y'all go. I hope y'all have a great week. It's Monday. It's the start of the week. It's a big comic book week. Yeah, I'll let y'all go. Bye, guys.